Hello, Year 11s. Today's lesson is all about time. So to start with, here we go. These are some questions you need to think about. Pause the video, answer them. I'll give you a moment to do that. All right, so this is all to kick off the topic of time because, well, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be converting between different time units. We're going to be assessing life-related time issues that you may or may not have. And yeah, we've got to, but fundamentally, if you're going to move between different units of time, you need to remember how to convert them. So let's look at this. We've got how many seconds in a minute? I'm really hoping you know that's 60. We've got how many minutes in an hour? Again, 60. How many hours are in a day? 24. How many days are in a week? 7. How many days are in a fortnight? Remember, a fortnight is 2 weeks. So that's going to be 14 days. How many months have we got in a year? 12. How many days do we normally have in a year? 365. But every so often we have a special event. We have a leap year, which is 366 days. And the ones you might hear of a little less often, you're only 1.5 decades into your life. How many years are in a decade? It's 10. How many decades are in a century? Same as cricket. If there's always someone in the room who likes cricket. A century is, of course, 100. And a millennia? Well, that's 1,000 if you ever hear of it, a millennium. So there we go. There's the conversions, and we're going to be using them later. So I'll give you a moment, and I'll be back. Okay. So you need to be able to tell how much time there is between intervals where appropriate. And to demonstrate the sort of thing that you need to be able to do, and you need to be able to do it in life as well, is we have Beatrice here, and she got on a flight at 9:55 a.m. in Brisbane that arrived in Cairns at 12:10 p.m. And the question is, how long was the flight? Now, I'm going to take the same approach here that was used in your Essential Mathematics course. And what we'll do there is we'll go, well, 9:55 a.m., if we took that to the next hour, which is 10 a.m., how much time is that? 5 minutes? Then we'll take it to the nearest hour. So 12:10 p.m. is just after 12 noon, 12 p.m. How long is it between 10 and 12? That's 2 hours. And then if we calculated from 12 o'clock to 12:10, how much time is that? It's another 10 minutes. And if you add that all together, there's a 5 minutes, there's a 2 hours, and there's a 10 minutes. You could say the total time, in this case, is 2 hours and 15 minutes. All right, so the technique I used there was, well, how much time is it to take it to the next hour? Then count the hours. Then how many minutes more to get to the final spot? And that's one way of doing it that, generally works and isn't too offensive. But it's not the only way of doing it. If you're interested, often the way I personally would have done it is I would have just added hours onto that to start with, and I would have gone, well, 2 hours after that'll be 11:55, and then it would have gone from 11:55, it's another 15 minutes. And I would have said, yeah, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. So there are a few ways of doing it. As long as you explain it and show you're working, then It's cool. Now the next skill I want to go through is when you get given a number of hours in either a decimal or a fraction form, and you need to be able to write that as hours, minutes, and seconds. Now, there's actually a nice way you can check this in your calculator too. I might even show you that later if you're feeling excited about this content. But here, to make sure we can do it manually, now you got to admit, when was the last time someone said 6.7 hours to you? Pretty unusual, isn't it? Normally you'd hear them say, well, 6 hours and 30 minutes or whatever it is, all right? They wouldn't normally use decimals. So this is a bit unusual. So you have to first note that 6.7 hours is a bit of a weird concept. The best way to think about it is to think of it as 6 hours plus 0.7 of an hour. Because it is 6 plus 0.7 will indeed give you that, right? But this gives you a big key. Remember how the word of always meant something special to us? It always means multiply. This helps you find the number of minutes. Essentially now you can think of it as 6 hours plus 0.7 times 60 minutes. Because an hour is 60 minutes. So in effect, another way of writing of an hour there is to write multiply by 60. And if you do this, you'll find 6 hours, 6.7 hours is indeed 6 hours and 42 minutes. Hey, curious how I did that in my head? No, I don't all scream at once. For those of you who enjoy a bit of manual maths, 0.1 is 1/10, right? So 1/10 of 60 would be 6. If 1/10 is 6, 7/10 will be 7 times 6. That's how I got that number without using a calculator. You are allowed to use a calculator and everything, so you don't need to be able to do that. It's just useful. All right, second part here, 5 1/8 hour. We'll start with the same trick. It's 5 hours plus 1/8 of an hour this time. So that's 5 hours plus 1/8 times 60 minutes. Again, I converted that of an hour to be times 60. Multiplied by 60, which gives us 5 hours and, well, that's not nice, is it? What is 1/8 of 60? 7.5. And yeah, it keeps going though, because the question said to write in hours, minutes, and seconds. So we need the number of seconds for that. Now, which way do you want to do that? I'll do it the same technique we used here, okay? I'm going to call it 5 hours, 7 minutes, and 0.5 of a minute. Because it's 7 minutes plus another half of a minute there, which you could write as 5 hours, well, all the same as above here, and 0.5 times 60 seconds, because below minutes are of course seconds. So the of a minute this time got changed to multiply by 60. And when you put all of that together, guys, you're going to get 5 hours, 7 minutes, and 30 seconds. Now, I'm sure some of you could have told me that earlier, because you would have told me that half of a minute. I would have said, well, half of a minute, how many seconds is that? Yeah, it's 30 seconds, isn't it? Full minute's 60 seconds, so half a minute was always going to be 30 seconds. So, you know, you could have pretty well quickly gone from this line here, 5 hours and 7.5 minutes. You probably could have told me then that it was going to be 5 hours, 7 minutes and 30 seconds if you wanted. I just wanted to show that, again, half of a minute would be a half times 60, giving you the 30 if you're stuck for exactly how many seconds there are in that one. So the text has some different examples for both of them if you happen to feel like enjoying that at any moment in time. And I'm just going to clean the board and we'll do a couple more questions. Okay, let's keep going here. So some other sorts of conversions that you might need to do include this sort of thing. Benjamin swims for 196 minutes. How long is this in minutes? I meant hours and minutes. All right. So we want to know what 196 minutes is in hours and minutes. So the first thing you should ask yourself was, how many hours are there indeed in 196 minutes? So 60 minutes in an hour. You might be able to do that in your head. Tell me how many hours are left, right? But if you needed a calculator, you could simply divide it by 60 and you would get 3 point something. 3.26 recurring. But importantly is the first number. That's how many full hours you're going to get fit in there. So if you took 3 hours out of this, how many minutes would be left? So 3 hours, 3 times 60 is 180 minutes. So the remaining minutes is going to be 196, take away the 180 minutes. You have 16 minutes left. So therefore, 3 hours and 16 minutes. So in effect, when you got a question like that, it's really asking how many lots of 60 go into 196. You can divide by 60 to work out. 3 lots of 60 are going to go in there. 3 lots of 60 are 180, which will leave you with another 16 minutes left over. So 196 minutes is 3 hours, and there'll be 16 minutes left over. 3 hours, 16 minutes. Down here, how many days are between the 27th of July and 16th of September? Well, this sort of thing is going to require you to remember your time units. How many days are in each month? How many days are there in each month? Do you remember? 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. So January has 31. We always start off with 31. There used to be a jingle. I'm sure you can look it up on YouTube if you want to, that some people use. I just remember it, and I don't know why. Was it 31 days hath January, March, and it keeps going like that. So the pattern is that every second month is 31, except for this weird pattern where both July and August are 31, and you can keep writing 31s from there. That's essentially how I personally remember it. I start with 31 every second month, but then be careful with July, August, and you're all right. You got the 31s. Almost everything else is 30, while February is, of course, the weird one that's either 28 or 29 if you're in a leap year. I saw a beautiful picture the other day of, it was milk or something, that said the expiry date was the 30th of February. That's an amusing error. You don't see that very often these days. Anyway, So to work out a question like this, how many days are between the 27th of July and the 16th of September? So let's think first, how many days into the end of July? So if you're at the 27th, there's 31 days to the end of the month. The 31st is the end of the month. How many days from the 27th to the 31st? I see 4. Then we need the entirety of August, because we're going from July through to September. August also has 31 days. It's pure 31. And then in September, to get to the 16th, we have, 16 days in. So the total there, how many days have we got? 51. So in theory, there are 51 days between those two times. Now, how do you feel about that? Maybe? Oh. It actually said between. There's a trick in my question there. Between those 2 days doesn't include the 16th of September. I'd actually need to make that 15. Because if I wrote 16 there, it would include the 16th of September. Tricky, hey? Got to be careful with the wording of questions, see? There's a lesson there. Normally it'd be read the question, but in my case it's read my own question would be a good idea. Hello. Now, where your text doesn't really have examples in this area, but I've decided to go down this path anyway. 12-hour and 24-hour time and converting between the two of them. 24-hour time is the best thing ever. We actually should use 24-hour time for everything. It completely gets rid of any confusion about AM or PM. If we say, oh, we're meeting at 7 o'clock, you know that you don't know what I'm talking AM or PM. Once had a doctor's appointment and turned up at the wrong one of them, and because they wasn't clear about whether it was AM or PM, then it just causes disaster. So no wonder nurses and military and whatnot work on 24-hour time, because it makes sense. You always know what you're doing. Make your clocks 24-hour. But besides that rant, guys, let's get back to business. There are a lot of 12-hour clocks around that have either AM or PM on them. AM and PM, you never see a number bigger than 12 on them. On the other hand, with 24-hour time, you can see numbers up to, but they don't quite hit 24. You can see an hour of 23, but not 24. In general, what are you doing? Knock it off. Now, the general rules that you need to know. When you're converting between 12-hour and 24-hour, normally you just add or subtract a 12. Add or subtract 12 hours if it's in the afternoon. If it's after 12 midday, you need to add or subtract 12 hours when you're going between 24-hour time and back. Now I'm going to show an example of that. The other rule that you need to be aware of and be careful of is 12 a.m. in the morning, so midnight is 12 o'clock, right? That first hour in the morning is weird. That first hour between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., if you're on 12-hour time, it'll read like 12:20 a.m., 12:30 a.m. and so on. But in 24-hour time, that's 0. That hour is 0. So 12:20 a.m. is 0:20 in 24-hour time. So just remember that. The midnight hour is zeros in 24-hour time. Bit different. So with that in mind, guys, let's just quickly do some examples and I'll get out of your hair. Right, 3:15 a.m.'s in the morning, right? It's before midday. When you're getting before midday, generally it's exactly the same time in 24-hour time. That translates simply to 03:15. All right? Now here in 24-hour time, it's not past 12, it's not past 1200, it's in the morning as well. Exactly the same over here, it's 7:50 a.m. It's another time in the morning. This one's in the afternoon, it says PM, it's after midday. So in this case, you need to do your add 12. If I add 12 to that 4, what do I get? I get 16. So it's 16:28 in 24-hour time. All right. Now here, it's more than 12. This one's in 24-hour time. It's more than 12. So to get it, it's in the afternoon. It's past 1200. I have to take away 12 to get it over here. So 21 take away 12 will give you 9. You'll end up with 9:05 p.m. because it's in the evening. These last two are the weird example I warned you about up here. 12 a.m. is 00 in 24-hour time. This is at 12 a.m. hour. So 12 a.m., that hour of 12 a.m. is zeros in 24-hour time. So that time is actually 00:07 in 24-hour time. Going in the reverse way, oh look, there's the zeros at the front. The zeros means it's 12 a.m. So that one there would be 12:48 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so that's a quick run through of 12-hour, 24-hour time. Hello there. Now, as a final question for today, I've picked one out of the text that we're going to do up here, and it's question 18. It's not a question that was naturally assigned to you, but it's a question of serious importance to people from a particular part of Australia, and it's called Melbourne. And the question says, how many days... Well, you know, why don't we make this, oh no, we'll do the same one as in the text. It says, how many days are there until Christmas from the AFL Grand Final on the 28th of September? So that would require you to remember, or at least research, Christmas Day. So how many days are there from the 28th of September to Christmas Day, which is the 25th of December? So to do that, we're going to work out, well, the days left in September. How many days are there in September? Hopefully you recall that there's 30. So there'll be 2 days until the end of the month. Then how many days are in October? That's 31. How many days are in November? That's 30. Then how many days to our Christmas Day here? It's 25. And we add them all together. 8. There'll be 88 days from the AFL Grand Final to Christmas. Though if you talk with an AFL fan, you'll probably find the metric more important to them is how many days from the AFL Grand Final until the next year's season starts. That's probably the number they all want. All right, so with that in mind, you are now free to go and work on all the time sections. I've covered the content for both classes today. So from there, you need to look at exercise 10.2 on page 380. So that's questions 1, 3 BCEF, 4 EF, 5, 6, 8, 12 and 16. And remember to do other questions if you complete them. All the best. Have fun. Bye.